Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unstoppable Tales of the Phoenix and Fireweeds. My name is Lisa Shea. I am our host today. I have a very dear friend joining us. Her name is Jill Gruenberg, and she lives in Colorado. And she's a sensation, a rock star Phoenix fireweed, angelic being of light who I just want the world to be introduced to. Jill, welcome. Thank you for taking this time to sit with me today. You know how much I love and admire you and have such respect for you. Your journey has been such a privilege to be a part of. It's such an honor to be a part of your world and your life and your inspiration and your aspirations. And I know that you have some really exciting things coming up, which we've been talking about in tidbits. And I know that you're a gifted among other beautiful, multi-dimensional gifts that you have and hold and share with the world. What would you want to, would you like to introduce yourself? Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about who you are? Just kind of let us know.
Sure.
Dive deeper if you want.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction. Touching. Yeah, I'm a work in progress. And I was honored when you asked me to be a part of this, to share a little bit of my story. You certainly were a part of a healing journey for me, and so I'm really honored to be here today. I don't know what more you want me to share. I definitely, the title of your podcast really speaks to me. I think everyone knows the story of the phoenix rising from the ashes, and that's such a metaphor. And I live in a part of the country where fireweed is very prolific, beautiful, stunningly bright flower that grows in the aftermath of fire and destruction, and is sort of the first sign of the rebirth and regeneration of life after what may seem like ravage, and it's a very powerful metaphor too. So I love the title of your podcast. It speaks to me. Yeah, and I certainly, I have experienced my own fire in life, walking through fire, and as both a survivor of sexual assault, as somebody who's experienced chronic pain in my life at multiple times, and pretty significant injury that really felt that it was, brought me to my knees, really, and had me question my own identity, my own purpose. And so, yeah, I definitely can relate to the title of your podcast, and I'm really happy if sharing my story helps give anyone else some perspective on a journey that they're walking through.
Beautiful, Jill. Thank you. Not only are you a survivor, you are a thriver. That is for sure. My question on my heart as I'm listening to Arising feels like I'm always enamored and so hungry or curious about when one is walking through the fire. What is it? What did you find inside yourself when you were burning up and you were left, seemingly we feel like we are that pile of ashes, or we're going to be. I've been there. I know, I relate, consumed by the fire. So I'm literally a puddle of ashes. What is it for you? What was the Phoenix moment? What helped you? What was inside of you? What did you find? What got you to rise again?
Mm-hmm. I think what was there initially was a lot of fear
Mm.
and a lot of resistance. And I know, that's not inspirational to others, but I hope it's at
It's
least
human and it's
normalizing.
real.
Right.
Who doesn't relate to
Um,
that?
what was there for me initially was a tremendous amount of suffering, to be honest. And, as I mentioned, I really had a lot of my background is in being very active. And so my physical injuries really challenged me around defining who I was if I wasn't able to do those active pursuits that I loved, that not only really defined who I was, but brought me such joy. And so, this is not there is not a epiphany moment necessarily. There was days and days and weeks of challenge. And what I think was really there for me was, a lot of different things. There was love and connection from a lot of different places. That
Mm.
was, really, that was from close friends. And I think, the number of friends in my circle shrank, but the depth of the connection of who was there to walk beside me grew. And that also came from my husband and my daughter. And so I do know, I feel very blessed that I had that support.
Mm.
And, I know I even with that support and all that love, I felt tremendously lonely and
Mm.
isolated, truly. But they, kept showing up. Another piece that was there was professional help, counseling,
Mm.
therapy that was key. And truly, another piece that I tapped into that I think was really healing for me was finding something that felt like a little bit of a spark that brought me,
Right.
I'm not sure if joy is the right word, but just gave me something to sink into and explore, and in a way try to redefine a bit of myself if I couldn't define myself anymore as an athlete or a
Mm.
recreationalist. And that was tapping into some creative outlets.
Mm.
So, for me, that was writing, and it was also some painting, which I, had always defined myself as not an artistic person, not a creative person. And so it took a lot of courage to step into that. But
Mm.
that gave me, yeah, it just gave me a purpose in a way, or a release, like I said. And then I would say probably the last thing that I would identify as really being transitional for for my journey and healing was this concept of, honestly, like surrendering. I kind of think of this, I have this picture of myself like being on the edge, being on the side of a boat, like that's in turbulent water, and I'm
Mm.
tossed overboard, and I'm holding onto the side of that boat with
Mm.
every ounce of my
Mm.
strength, and fighting and fighting and
Mm.
fighting to stay on the boat and get back in the boat. And honestly, like, what I'm not realizing in that moment is there's a lifeboat right underneath me, and all I need to do is let go.
Ah. Ooh.
So I think there's a lot, for me, that came from surrendering, and it didn't. It needed to be different from, and it is different from giving up. It wasn't saying
Right.
I'm permanently injured.
Right.
I'm disabled. I'm never gonna
Mm.
bike or ski again. But it was saying this
Mm.
is where I am now, and I need to find acceptance and not use all my energy to resist
Mm.
what was. And once I did that, there just came, it just felt easier, and transformation and healing happened slowly over time, but little by little.
That's powerful. Really beautiful and powerful. And so you're a holy, sovereign, divine being. I hear and see that in you. The light in you shines so bright. As a result, I don't know when in your journey you started to write. I think have you always been a writer? I can't remember, but I know your writing has gotten more and more prolific. I've been honored to read and share your writing from time to time. Is it something that maybe you'd want to share today? Something?
Oh,
Feel
yeah.
comfortable to share?
Yes. So when I knew we were doing this, and you didn't tell me really much, just the name of the podcast, but I could
Why don't you
surmise.
come talk to us today?
I could surmise what it was about. I did look through my writing. There are times I feel like in the moment I can't always, the words don't always flow as easily, but I looked back through my writing and I found a piece that I do feel like really captures this concept. I would love to share it.
Oh,
Thank you.
excellent.
Should I read
Great.
it now?
Please.
It's called Shadow Dancing.
Mm.
So, many are called, but few dare to sit beside their shadow, to touch the dark places within and not run or hide or seek to numb the pain. I have journeyed there, and I believe that you have too. That is why you are hearing these words. Some days I wished for grace. Some days I wished for strength. And on the hardest days, I wished for release. It scares me to acknowledge that, but to have embraced my shadow has given me an intolerance to anything but truth-telling. So I will let the fear speak and the vulnerability speak, and even the rage that long ago got stuck in my throat as I pushed it down and told it there was no place for it within. The more I wished it away and resisted, the stronger it grew. Like the first crack that sets loose a slab of snow, it grew stronger until the roots could no longer keep the trees from snapping in the belly of the avalanche. It looked like chaos. It felt like destruction. It was lonely and harder than anything I have ever done. And I have done hard things. Like a fish taken from the water, I thrashed on the floor of the boat and gasped for the breath that I could not find. There was no magic epiphany, no spontaneous healing or snap of the fingers to transport me to the other side. This is not that kind of story. There was struggle and there was pain. There was hopelessness and there was crushing doubt. But there was also courage and love and a unique kind of beauty that came from the breaking. I know that it is far from over, but if I really look, I can begin to make out a picture in the distance. There are wisps of clouds in the sky, and I can feel the shift. Until I can walk, I will crawl my way there, and I will drink in the rain from above as it finally reaches the scorched earth. The same earth that holds me and gives me the strength to tenderly and lovingly put my arms around myself and dance with the darkness.
I gotta take a second here because I'm so moved. Oh,
that was actually the
every word.
last piece I wrote, and I have to admit I haven't written since then. And that was probably close to a year ago. But it's powerful to read again now. Yeah.
What do you notice in your what do you notice as you read your words, your own words back to yourself? What does that feel like? I mean, it was a magnificent piece, Jill.
Thank you. I think what I notice is the honesty and the reality that it's healing is not sort of it's not an either or process. What I notice in that piece is that you know the healing that had to happen for me was really being able to hold and acknowledge that dark side, that shadow side, that the pain that was there, the fear, the resistance, and that every other experience I had had up to, up until my most recent sort of experience with significant injury and what that did both physically and emotionally to me, I always looked at it as a sort of a before and after, with the after being return to who I was before, a sense of when I am healed, I can be that person again, that person that's not afraid of anything, that person that always has strength and courage and doesn't need help from anyone or is independent. And what I really hear in that piece, and what I think was pivotal for my own process, was really that piece of acceptance of what healing looked like for me this time was not going back to who I was. It was needing to redefine myself and really love who that person is. And, you know, I think I used to want to, like I said, go back to how it was, not have, any physical pain. And the reality is now I live with pain in my foot all the time. And I ski and ride my bike and love my family and love my friends and do purposeful work. And I'm not holding so hard to this idea of it needs to be perfect. There's just an acceptance and a gratitude. I do think when you walk through the fire, if you can tap into that sense of what you are grateful for and you realize how much those things mean, that becomes bigger and can carry you a bit.
Exquisite. I'm taking it all in. I'm absorbing. That was beautiful. Oh, profound. Your ability to hold yourself from caterpillar to butterfly is spectacular to be a part of. And I'm wishing to be that butterfly now, not to go back to that caterpillar. That was such a powerful message for all our listeners to hear, that the beauty is in allowing ourselves to become what we're meant to be, letting go of who we were. You're in a newer version, we're in newer and newer versions of ourselves constantly. It's beautiful. Woo. So I don't know how comfortable you might feel sharing this, but I know that you have some exciting new professional life
I'm
coming
happy
in for you. You've magnetized to yourself some powerful transformation in purpose and serving. Did you want to share?
Sure.
We would love to hear where you're headed next.
I would love to put that out into the world.
Because people need to know where to find you. So we want to also add any links where people can find you professionally.
Okay. Well, I'm not there yet, but
Okay.
So the irony is, honestly, so I have worked my entire life really in helping professions or, human service professions, as a domestic violence and sexual assault advocate, as a therapeutic riding instructor doing equine therapy, as a case manager for a youth mentoring organization. And I love all this work that I've done. And for 25 years, I have had this desire to go back to school to become a counselor. And I had so many fears that stopped me, so many reasons why I wasn't stepping into that. I would say when my daughter goes off to college, or I can't do it, what if I can't manage the stress and it sets me back in terms of just my own emotional health, and just little things where, it just felt like barriers. And what if all the classes I would have to maybe take to go back to school before even starting grad school. And recently, a lot of those fears that were there, a lot of those reservations just seemed to melt away. And it felt like, okay, I'm ready. At 53, I'm ready. So I've applied to school and I've been accepted. And I thought I would be starting next January, but just found out yesterday that I'll be starting this fall for a master's in counseling program. So I'm very excited to learn and just start a new journey.
It's gorgeous.
And eventually go into practice.
Fabulous, fabulous. We need you. We need you. We need you.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Well, and it's really interesting. And I think this is important because what I really notice that's happened is somehow in the process of this more recent, path of healing, there has been something that's come out of it where it just feels like fears don't feel as big anymore. And, those things that were stopping me, they don't feel they have as much power anymore over holding me back. And it feels, like all the healing that happened and that working with the fear and the shadow side and bringing it in and loving it and not pushing it away and resisting so hard. It's brought an ease into multiple areas of my life. And so, I was able to go back to this thought of going back to school, and all of a sudden it just was like clear that I'm not afraid to do this. And so I do feel like there's with that integration, it touches every part of your life.
Oh, Jill, that is so inspiring to hear. And oh, my admiration for you grows and grows. As I'm a huge fan of my own shadow work. That's a weird thing to say, I'm a fan. It's not fun. There's nothing fun about it. However, the rewards, and I'm hearing so much of this in you and so resonating with every word, is, the more I've allowed myself to do my shadow work, the more I know myself. The more I know myself, the less I'm afraid. The less I'm afraid, and the more I know myself, the more I can know you and not be afraid of you, whatever that means, at whatever level, because it's across every part of our lives. It's very powerful. The most profound work I've probably ever done, most important, to really fully presence and resource from self inside of self that's a spectacular gift, one that I fought for probably 50 years. The deep, the deep shadow. Rejection.
You and me both.
Ignore. But not even knowing, not even understanding that it was, there's this cesspool underneath this smile, I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
Hold on a second,
Yeah. And it's interesting that you used the word joy, and then you sort of, pulled that back in. But I would really actually say there is this tremendous, there is a beauty in the shadow work. And I do really believe that in doing the shadow work, there is the ability to feel joy at such a deeper and more profound level, because you can't know that higher high until you've acknowledged that lower
Woo!
low. And it's
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
it's the idea of the bittersweet, and it's profound, and it is beautiful work, and it can be really joyful work.
I haven't found joy while I'm in it. I would
Yes.
agree with you. The joy is always though, and I agree. Always the result of the work put in is the joy is more. I can hold more joy because I've cleaned out the pain. The
Yeah.
rewards are spectacular, and I think one of my favorite pieces is this childlike innocence. It's a reclamation. It's a
Mm,
redesign. It's a reparenting. For me, I can't speak for anybody else, and this
mm,
childlike quality gets to be predominant versus the
yes.
fearful, scared, tenuous, afraid to take risks person shrinks
Hmm.
down while the higher self rises. And it's an exquisite experience. Lots of courage. Like you, my sister. So thank you. Thank you. Anything on your mind? Any last words or inspiration or questions or thoughts to leave our audience with?
I want to say thank you to you, the
Thank
work
you.
that you do, and how you really walk beside so many people in their
Mm,
process, and not just the individual clients you work with, but things like doing this podcast. And so you're a light for the world. Thank you. And for me
mm,
personally.
thank you.
um,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you. Oh, so I wish you breath, one breath at a time as you move into, I know what grad school's like. as a raging competitive, I didn't even know she existed until I went to undergrad and grad. Yeah, I wish you one breath at a moment, and I'm here walking with you and breathing with you at every step. So,
Yeah. Yes, thank you. You might
you
just
got it.
be on speed dial.
I'm here. I'm here. Always, always. All right. I'm wishing you a gorgeous day.
Thank
I'd love
you.
to have you. I'd love to have you come back. You have so much to offer and so much beauty to share. So thank you from my heart to yours.
Anytime. It's
Ah,
been a
what a
enjoyable
treat.
experience, and it's a treat to reflect and remind myself, all of that, the work and the transformation, to celebrate in it, and to get to tap into that again. So thank you for
Mm,
letting me
you're
speak and
welcome.
share.
You're welcome. My love to Eric and Zoe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.